Good afternoon, my dear students. This is Philip Umi Agbasa. I have come your way again to take us through what we have all started with. I want to be very grateful to you for being with this particular time, be with me this time. You are helping to share the good news that we come on Facebook Live to try to explain some of the concepts in economics. I believe those who have been with me from the very beginning, they are better students now in terms of economics. Today, we are going to start with an interesting topic. We call it equilibrium price or market price. That is how we often call it. But what we actually do is finding or determining the market price or determining the equilibrium price. We are going to find how buyers and sellers are able to settle at a particular price. That is what we are going to do today. I want you to share this video to as many as you can reach. Either you know the person on Facebook or not, you know the school of the person or not, share the video and let all of us enjoy it. In fact, if you are an economics student and you play with topics like demand and supply, which takes almost, I can tell you that it takes more than, we have a lot of topics in economics, but it takes more than 20% of economic questions, including the objectives. And so be careful about this topic. That is why I'm spending enough time to explain it. Share the video and get the iconic economics textbook. Go through, and I believe that you will go far. Okay? Right. From the very beginning, we said the buyer or the consumer demand. And we explained demand. Out of that, we establish one strong fact that under normal circumstances, when all factors are held constant, the higher the price, the lower the quantity demanded. I.e., those who buy will prefer that the price of the commodity will be lower so they can buy more. And so when the price goes higher, they will buy lower quantities. That is all about normal buyers. What about normal sellers? We came out with the law of supply. In that case, we said that the higher the price, the higher the sellers will send a lot of commodities onto the market, i.e., they will prefer higher prices so they can bring more onto the market. When you compare the law of demand to that of supply, you will notice that the two laws don't agree. The buyer going with the law of demand will prefer a lower price so that he or she can buy more. On the other hand, the seller will prefer a higher price so he or she will bring more onto the market. So there's always this disagreement between a buyer and a seller. Then, how do they settle at a particular price? That is what this topic seeks to explain. And that is exactly what we are going to do. Okay? Before then, listen to how we normally define the equilibrium price, which is also called the market price. The equilibrium price is the price at which both the buyer and the seller agree to trade the commodity or to exchange the commodity. I'm coming again. The equilibrium price or the market price is the price at which both the buyer and the seller agree. They agree to trade or to exchange the product. You see, I said equilibrium price. You can also be asked, what then is the equilibrium quantity? The equilibrium quantity is the quantity at which there will be no excess. There will not be any extra of the cloth. There will not be any hassle over. I.e., that particular quantity is the quantity that when you look at the selling price, is the quantity at which the buyer's quantity and the seller's quantity will be the same or will be equal. I hope you are getting it. Okay. And so to appreciate it, we always say that when you say something in words in economics, which we call economists, the language of the economists is called economists. Let me spell it on the board for you. This is it. That is the spelling, economists. That is the language of the economists. When you say it in words, we usually will use tables, we will use diagrams, and we also will use simple algebra to explain it or to emphasize what we say in words. Okay, so we are going to use table, use a diagram, as at the same time we are going to add some simple equation to explain the concept of equilibrium price and quantity. Okay, so let's go to the table and explain the table. If you remember, we used one buyer we were calling Ama and another we were calling Kofi. But this time we are going to make Ama the buyer and Kofi the seller. Okay, let's make it this way. Let Kofi be the buyer so that Ama will be the seller. Maybe the Ama is selling KK and Kofi is buying the KK. Okay, that is the assumption we are going to make. So we are assuming that column B is the one selling, and that is for Ama. Ama is selling our assumed product, KK. And Kofi is buying, and so he is demanding column C, okay, on the table. So we go to the table and explain how buyers and sellers are able to agree at a particular price and, for that matter, quantity. The column A is standing for the price at which the product would have been sold at one time or the other. At the price of $5, we have been assuming dollars all the time. The price of $5, Ama, who is selling the product, brought 12 quantities. If it's KK, 12 balls to the market. And at the price of 4, she brought 10. Down to price of 3, she brought 8. You go down till you get to 4 at the price of $1. You will notice that the law of supply is clearly here, showing a positive relationship between price and quantity supply. The lower the price, this time my hand is going down, I see that the price is running down, the lower the quantity. Let's go to Kofi, who is buying the product, the demand. You will notice that at a higher price, like say 5 on the table, Kofi is willing to buy only 5 balls. In that order, when you go, the lower the price this time, you see that the higher the quantity demanded by Kofi. I hope we agree. Then what is the difference? A seller brought at the price of 5, the seller, who is Ama, Ama brought 12 balls of the KK. How much of it was bought by Kofi? You will notice the difference is that Kofi bought 4 and there will be excess. There will be some left on the market. How many will be left? Clearly, you will see that it will be 8. So 8 will be written here for a reason. That is the difference between the 12 that was brought and the 4 that was bought. Then you will notice that anytime there is excess commodity on the market, in our real life situation, when there is an excess what you call surplus of the commodity on the market, the sellers are forced to reduce the price. Because if you don't reduce the price, the product will go back. Will go bad. And as a seller, if your product goes bad, you are going to lose a lot of money. So in order to clear the market, to sell your product, you will have to reduce the price. So surely, Amma noticing that she couldn't sell 8 of the product, will have to reduce at least the price slightly to say 4. Alright? So the price reduces to 4, and she brought 10 to the market, and 6 was bought. What is the difference? The difference is 4. Let's go to the price of 3. You notice that she brought 8, and 8 was bought. What is the difference between the two? You see, this is 0. Everything has been bought. Okay, let's go down here. At the price of 1, you will notice that buyers want cheap side. They want the price of the product to be lower. So you realize that Kofi wants to buy more of the KK. However, Amma, who is selling the product, is not willing to sell at this lower price. And so the quantity that was brought was only 4. So you see that here there will be SS2. That SS is excess demand, or what we call shortage. That means the product will not be available on the market. There will be shortage on the market. And what is the difference? Difference is 8. I have put negative there because shortage is always negative. Shortage is negative. Okay? And the surplus will be positive. And then at the price of 2, Amma brought 6 balls, and Kofi came around to buy 10 of the balls. That means Kofi can only get how many? 6, and the 2 will not be available. So that is also a shortage. And the shortage, the difference is 4. And we say negative. Shortage is always negative. So this is how we determine the market price. At a higher price, there has to be an interaction, a haggling, a bargaining. That interaction between the buyer and the seller reduce the price. Otherwise, I won't buy it. I mean, it's too expensive. It's too expensive. I cannot buy it. You have to reduce the price. The seller will say, it's not easy producing this product. If you really want to, there will be haggling or bargaining. Okay, arguing over the price, trying to settle on a certain price. And normally, the argument will be between this point to this point, i.e. price 5 to price 4. Then there will be that argument or the interaction or the bargaining between the buyer and the seller, often down here, between price 1 and price 2. Because there is always a difference here. The buyer will always say, I've come to buy a lot of your product. And look at the quantity you are putting on the market. I want more, I want more. You know why? Because the price is cheaper for him. The seller is not willing to bring more. So there will always be an argument here between the buyer and the seller. Or not necessarily an argument that will lead to a fight, an argument that will lead to moderation of the price. However, look at the price, $3. What do you notice? You will notice that there's no disagreement between the buyer and the seller at all. Because the seller brought 8 and the buyer came to buy 8 of the cake, like 8 balls. So you see that the difference is 0. This particular price, where the buyer and the seller have agreed to trade a commodity, where the quantity demanded is equal to the quantity supplied, is what we call the equilibrium price. So clearly, when I ask you from the board that what is the equilibrium price, your answer should be here. What is the equilibrium price? It is not 8. Because the question says, what is the equilibrium price? The answer should be $3. The answer should be 3. So the equilibrium price is 3. Then another question. What is the equilibrium quantity? What is the equilibrium quantity? Your answer should be 8. That is the quantity at which both the buyer and the seller have agreed to trade the commodity. Okay? Very good. So, how do we call this side of it where there is surplus? You can call it excess supply. From price 5 to 4, there's a surplus on the market. Excess supply, or you can call it surplus. So this is the surplus. Any price, so listen to this one carefully. Any price above the equilibrium price, any price that is higher than the equilibrium price will lead to what we call surplus on the market. Any price that is higher than the equilibrium price leads to what we call surplus on the market. I believe you can type that for there. Any price that is lower than the equilibrium price, that is below the equilibrium price, leads to what we call excess demand or shortage on the market. So from this point up to this point, we lead to shortage. Price 1 and 2 will lead to shortage. Price 4 and 5 will lead to surplus or excess supply. I hope that is well established. Good. Then the price 3, where there is no argument over the price again, is the agreed price. That is what we call the equilibrium price. So where is the equilibrium line or point? This is it. This is the equilibrium. This is the equilibrium. So the next time you are asked, you see how simple this is. The next time you will not have it difficult. Equilibrium price is the same as market price. Take note of this one. Good. Now, having explained using a table, we are going to throw more light on it using a curve or a diagram. You will notice that on this table we have both a buyer and a seller on it. So we are going to move this buyer, Kofi and Amma, onto the diagram. And we are going to come out with the equilibrium price and quantity on the diagram too. So I have drawn a diagram, the axis already. This is the x-axis, and my scale is 2 centimeters is to $1. So 1, 2, 3, up to 5. And then 2 centimeters is to 2 of the balls of the KK as we assume. So we are going to quickly plot the curves. First, we are going to plot for the seller against the price. At the price of 5, starting from the top, you can start from any point. Starting from, at the price of $5, the quantity supplied is 12. So look at 5, 12 is somewhere here. So you locate this point. This is where they coordinate. This is where they meet. At the price of 4, quantity supply is 10. So we come here. Yeah. The price of 3, it's 8. That is supplied. 3 is going with 8. Yeah. So let's 4. Yeah. Okay. Price of 2. The quantity is 6. Quantity supplied is 6. 2 as again. Yes. Then at the price of 1, 4 was supplied. 1 against 4. This is it. After that, join the line. This is your supply curve. This supply curve is for AMA. AMA is the seller. So I've written SA. AMA. Okay. Then we go to the buyer. Kofi is buying. We are going to put Kofi's diagram on the same graph. Okay, the same space. At the price of 5, Kofi was willing to buy 4. 5, 4, 5, 4. So 4. How many? Kofi came to buy 6. As you can see, 4, 6. So 4, 6. Okay. The price of 3, Kofi came to buy 8. So you see the same point. Okay. Then let's move to the price of 2. Kofi came to buy 10. Kofi came to buy 10. Then the last one, the price of 1, Kofi came to buy 12. 10, 12. 1. Okay. Then you join this line too. This is the demand for Kofi. Demand for Kofi. So we have established the downward slope of the demand curve, as we know already, and then we have established the fact that the supply curve is positively sloped. But even though downward sloping and upward sloping don't agree, they meet somewhere. They surely meet somewhere. The buyer and the seller will have to agree somewhere. The point where the demand curve and the supply curve will intersect is what we call the equilibrium point. So this is the equilibrium point. We are calling E, this particular point. That's the equilibrium point. The point where the demand curve and the supply curve will intersect is what we call the equilibrium point. And the point E is the equilibrium point. But that is where the curve intersects. And this equilibrium point gives us a lot of answers. It explains a lot of things. In fact, you locate the equilibrium point and trace the price that goes with it. What price goes with it? The price is 3. That means that the equilibrium price is 3, as we established here on the table, is 3. Locate the equilibrium point and get the equilibrium quantity. Let's trace it down. Sure. The answer is 8. That tells us that the equilibrium quantity is 8. So, as easy as it is, once you are able to draw your diagram very clearly and well, you should be able to get the equilibrium price and the equilibrium quantity, aka the equilibrium, the market price and the market quantity. From the curve, even from the curve, you will notice that any price that is above the equilibrium price will lead to, we said, will lead to surplus on the market, excess supply. Let's see how we can get that one from the diagram. At the price of 5, how many quantities were supplied? First demanded, because of simplicity. You see that price of 5, let's see. This straight line touches a curve here. Which curve is that? It's the demand curve. So then you look for the quantity that was demanded at the price of 5. Let's go down. It's 4. It's 4. 4 that was demanded. Then you move on straight line from the 5. Again, you are looking for the supply at that price, at the price of 5. You see that you touch the supply curve at this point. You come down, you look for the quantity that was supplied at the price of 5. How many? 12. So at the price of 5, you trace this straight line to the supply. The person brought 12 balls of the kinky onto the market. The same 5, you trace the line, you touch a curve here, and that curve is demand. How many was demanded at the market? 4. That means that from this point up to this point, nobody bought the kinky. It was left on the market. So this gap creates what we call surplus or excess supply. It was left on the market. Come to 4. At the price of 4, you will notice that when you trace it, the demand is here, and 6 was demanded. And when you follow up, continue, you will notice that the supply was 10. Between this and that, will create what we call surplus. The surplus here is 8, as you can see. 4 out of 12 is 8. The surplus at the price of 4, the difference is that you will see 2. 2, that is 6 was being demanded and 10 was supplied at the price of 4. So the difference will be 4. Yes, the difference is not 2, it's 4. So it's 4 between this and that. That will create a surplus on the market. When there's surplus on the market, in economy say the center, which is the equilibrium point, will pull down the prices. The price will be pulled down. So I'm drawing an arrow to show the pressure that will be on price to come down. Because if the price doesn't come down to this point, the commodity will be going bad. The chemical will go bad on the market. Okay? And so that is it. This will pull price down. Down here, when the price is 2, we trace a straight line to the curve. You will notice that the quantity supplied is only 4. And how many being demanded? Continue until it touches the demand curve. It touches the demand curve here. Here. Okay? Here. 12 is being demanded. So you see that the person brought only 4 and 12 was being demanded by Kofi. This will create a shortage on the market. The same thing applies to 2. At the price of $2, Kofi came to Ama supplied 6 units, and let's continue a straight line. And then Kofi came to buy 10. Ama supplied 6. Kofi came to buy 10. Or you trace it. Let's do it so that you can understand. This is supply. It touches the supply curve here. So let's see. Ama is the seller. So she brought 6 balls. Let's continue the same price to get to the curve. It touches the curve here, and that curve is the demand. Kofi is buying. How many does he want to buy? Let's go. 10. So what is the difference? The difference is 4. When you look at this side, any price below the equilibrium will push the price up. The center will push it to cause the price to move up. Alright? Price is moving up. So price is moving, pushing towards the middle. This space, the gap here is what we call shortage. The gap between this and that side is what we call surplus, as established here. So this is a surplus area, you don't mind, surplus, and down here is shortage. But this point is the key, is the agreed price, the market price, or the equilibrium price. Okay? Very good. Then the last thing that we have to do is to establish what we call the market price and the market quantity using a simple equation. All right. The quantity supply equation as by Ama is 2 plus 2p. The quantity demanded by Kofi will be 14 minus 2p. If you remember, you shouldn't be surprised with these 2 equations because we have done demand and supply. And so if you are not okay with it, it means that you were not following in the first place. You were not going through the video. So you can go back to the video and you'll be comfortable with this. We said that at equilibrium, the quantity being demanded will be equal to quantity supplied. i.e., at equilibrium, I've shortened my equilibrium. At equilibrium, quantity demanded, let's say quantity supply because we have supply first. Quantity supply should be equal to quantity demanded. Okay, then we said the quantity supplied is this, is 2 plus 2p. That's what we said. So here, this will be 2 plus 2p. That is the quantity supplied. Should be equal to the equal sign will come. Quantity supplied. Sorry, quantity demanded. I've repeated it. Quantity demanded. What do you see? We said quantity demanded is 14 minus 2p. That's what we said. So we write it here. 14 minus 2p. From this simple algebra, we have a common variable, price. So just make price the subject and you will see what will happen. So let's manipulate this one. 2p, we are bringing like terms together to one side. 2p, we bring this minus 2p across this equation will give you equal sign, will give you plus 2p, which will be equal to the 14 here, and we are sending the 2 because they are alike. So we have minus 2. 4p, this plus that will give you 4p, should be equal to 12. P should be equal to 3. You divide through by 4, you will get the answer. So this P, you can write against it. This P, this is the equilibrium price. So the equilibrium P, the equilibrium price is 3. That is it. The equilibrium price is 3. After that, what do you do? I'm taking this, I said again, it's a video. Don't say it's not there. It is there all the time. Go back to it. So I'll take this one. He said the equilibrium price is equal to 3. That is what we just calculated. So you have to find the equilibrium quantity. Substitute the 3 into the equations. You will get it. To make it simpler for ourselves, we said that QS is equal to QD. And we said QS is 2 plus 2P. And that QD here is 14 minus 2P. Now we have established the fact that the P is 3. So 2 plus 2 into bracket 3 should be equal to 14 minus 2 to bracket 3. Let's see. 2 plus this multiplying this will give us 6. 14 minus this multiplying that should give us 6. This is 8 and this should also be 8. You see what is happening? I said quantity supplied is equal to quantity demanded. And the quantity supplied gave us 8 balls at the price of 3. And the quantity demanded gave us 8 balls at the price of 3. 8, 8. That means that the quantity demanded, quantity supplied is equal to quantity supplied. Quantity supplied is equal to quantity demanded. Therefore, we have established the fact that at the price of 3, the quantity supplied will be equal to the quantity demanded. These 3 steps that we have gone through, if you are okay with it, it means that you are becoming a very good economics student. I have not been solving questions that much because I wanted to establish some foundation before we come in with questions. As from this point, the next time that we are going to meet, a lot of questions are going to come in and we are going to solve the questions together. So alert your friends to go through the video before we meet the next time, because we are going to solve a lot of questions that come in our exams and you are going to do well. On this note, the lesson is ended and I'm very hopeful that you have been able to establish the fact that price above the equilibrium price will lead to surplus, which will cause interaction between the buyer and the seller to bring the price down. Price below the equilibrium price will also cause that interaction between the buyer and the seller until the price is pulled up to the equilibrium, and that establishes the equilibrium price. We use a diagram. You can watch the video or reverse it and see it, and then we use the simple equation. When we start solving questions, you will see that everything will be okay. So stay home, stay strong, and let's meet again. And go share the video. See you again. Bye-bye.